Welcome to Flick Club. It's like a book club, but for movies. I'm Taft the Man, and on this channel, we're going to discuss awesome movies. I didn't know which movie I'd talk about first. It's a very difficult decision choosing which video to start a brand new YouTube channel with. But then I remembered America has just welcomed a new president and I love classic action movies. So the decision was obvious. Air Force One, the movie where Air Force One, the president's plane, is hijacked, and because he's a total badass, the president fights all the terrorists and takes his plane back.
He has no right to take chances with his life.
So the basic story is that the American president, played by Harrison Ford, is in Russia at some sort of state dinner type thing, because in this movie, the US and Russia are allies. After giving what is possibly the most demoralizing speech at a party ever, he gets on his plane to fly back to the US. But unbeknownst to the Secret Service and everyone in the US protection detail, it seems, some terrorists have snuck on board Air Force One posing as Russian journalists. You kind of wonder how they got through such a sophisticated security system as an American one, but anyway, suspension of disbelief and whatnot. It turns out that the head of the Secret Service is working with these terrorists and helps them take over the plane. They shoot up the place, throw smoke grenades and flashbangs and stuff, and a whole lot of chaos ensues. Following protocol, the Secret Service staff that's still on the president's side sneak him below deck and they stuff him into his escape pod. They eject the escape pod and try to force Air Force One to land at Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany, but by this point the terrorists have taken over the cockpit and they manage to keep the plane flying. The terrorists do the usual thing, they call in a ransom.
They want General Radek released from prison.
I will execute a hostage every half an hour.
And the vice president, who's played by Glenn Close in this movie, gathers in a room full of military looking types and CIA looking types and all lots of staff just running around answering calls and stuff. You know the room I'm talking about. It's the Situation Room. It's revealed to us, the audience, that the president didn't get off Air Force One. He didn't get in the escape pod at all. He was worried about his family that he was going to have to leave behind on the plane. So he sneaks back onto the main deck and basically takes out the terrorists one by one, like Bruce Willis in Die Hard. Die Hard on Air Force One, eh? He takes out the terrorists one by one until eventually he gets into like a one-on-one fight with the main villain and he kicks him off the plane. Now, Harrison Ford plays the president in this movie, as I mentioned earlier, and he is great. I mean, it's Harrison Ford. What else can you say about him? He's great in every role he's in. But Gary Oldman is totally enjoying himself playing the Russian terrorist. He's a little over the top, but it works because this is a classic 90s action movie. And you know, my favorite part about old school action movies is the folks in the Situation Room. When the crisis gets resolved, they all cheer, and then the soundtrack to the movie wells up into like a triumphant score. Yeah, I really do love my 90s action movies. Air Force One probably has one of the best one-liners ever. In the part where Harrison Ford and Gary Oldman are fighting, just before he throws Gary Oldman off the plane, Harrison Ford leans in and says, "Get off my plane." This is the type of movie I recommend for people who love classic action movies and also love Air Force One, the aeroplane, or at least are fascinated by it. It's good classic fun. You've got Russian bad guys, one-liners, military jargon like DEFCON 3, and lots of American iconography. Even if you're not an American, by the end of the movie you're probably cheering, USA! USA! Air Force One was directed by Wolfgang Petersen, a German, and a staple of classic action movies. He's also the guy responsible for The Perfect Storm, Troy, Poseidon, and of course the very first movie he's known for, Das Boot. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Well, that's all for now, folks. But this is Flick Club after all. I can't be doing all the talking. Let's continue the dialogue in the comments section. And while you're there, let me know what other movies I should cover on the channel. Peace out. If you like the content I make here, support the channel by subscribing. And don't forget to drop a like when you find a video that you like. Also, invite family, friends, and other movie lovers to subscribe to the channel.